Hi, everyone. I'm once again Jake Sullivan from mydebatecoach.com. I'm also now one of the co founders of the brand new Arguflow AI debate app. As debate educators, our mission is to provide the powerful tools of logic and rhetoric in ways that are easy for anyone to understand and obtain. To that end, I am incredibly excited to demo a tool that I believe will not only completely change the way that we as debate educators approach the subject with our own students, but even how seasoned competitors can practice and hone their own skills in their downtime. Arguflow uses the powerful language learning models of OpenAI, but now fine tuned to provide specific counter arguments like a seasoned debater would. What I also love about this technology is the direct feedback that the interface then provides users on the argument that they just delivered. So, in order to demonstrate the power of this software in real time, let's do an example debate in order to showcase exactly how the app actually functions. So, the first thing you'll notice is that we need to begin by forwarding our motion, creating our topic. So in this case, whatever our motion of debate is, we would put it here. And so I could feed it a very basic motion that some of you might know. This house would ban zoos, for instance, and it would generate me some quite basic arguments. But I do believe that the power of Arguflow is best demonstrated when I feed it some more complex ideas. So those of you that have been around in the circuit some time might or might not recognize this motion, but the motion I'm going to feed it is a bit more of a human one, just to see how it handles it. This house opposes self care consumerism. And so once you've put forward your motion, the first thing you're going to do is select your side of the debate. So in this case, red indicates that you are on the negative, green indicates that you are on the affirmative. So for us, we are going to oppose self care consumerism. We will agree with the motion. So in that case, we are on the affirmative. So once we hit submit, the conversation has now started. And what you'll first notice is a blank screen akin to maybe some other types of language learning software that you might have encountered in the past. But where you're going to notice the key differences is when we first start feeding it types of arguments to have it respond to. So, what I'm going to do is utilizing the casebook that we have stored for this particular motion, I'm going to just find the written version of the first argument and I'm going to feed it the entire argument as it's written out so that it has something more complex to handle. So, my first argument I'm going to give it is that self help is inherently bad due to political and societal reasons. There's also going to be the arguments about how it's putting the burden on individuals to have their own mechanisms to cope. On top of that, how political solutions like better funding for mental health is how you're going to get better outcomes. So, this is going to be the first argument. So, let's feed it in and see how the software handles it. So, the first thing you're going to notice is that it immediately will start with generating you feedback on the argument that you've just delivered. So, in this case, it's telling us that it likes the way that we've presented our argument. However, it's also giving us an alternative suggestion to provide specific evidence or examples to support the claims that we're making. In this case, it's giving us just a little bit of reasoning as to why. And in this case, it's saying that it's going to be more convincing to the judge. On top of that, it's also going to deliver me a specific counter argument that I can then follow up on and continue the debate, kind of predicated upon. But from this screen, from this exact point, I could, if I wanted to, ask the AI to kind of explain itself about anything that it said. I can ask it for follow up. I can ask it to elaborate on particular things. I can even challenge it on things that it's mentioned. And I can continue the conversation in that way. However, with the Arguflow basic version, there is going to be regular ChatGPT integration. So that will be something you can do regardless. However, what I believe shows the actual power of this software is when we start giving it a full debate to handle and having it kind of tackle that. So let's bring in argument number two. And so the second argument I'm going to forward to the AI is I'm going to explain that even if self help is good, it is inaccessible to many. So I'm going to give it a sort of consumerist argument that's going to explain how a variety of people are going to be in some ways ostracized if we push consumerism and self help. So let's forward this argument once again and see what happens. So similar to the first, we're going to start with feedback that we got, and it once again thinks that it's clear and well presented. And so it's also asking for specific examples because in this particular case, we also have not provided them. What we're looking to add, and as we look to incorporate more and more features as we go forward, is to make this feedback one not only more specific in terms of perhaps mechanistic things that are missing, more debate lingo that it can throw at you. But also on top of that, we want it to perhaps even give some kind of alternative suggestions, autocomplete suggestions in ways that are perhaps a little bit more specific than it's currently doing. We do believe that the software, as it's currently available, is in an excellent state. However, we are going to be constantly adding features as we go, and we would like to hear what kind of features you'd like to see at some point. So, with all that in mind, I do believe that this is just an incredibly powerful tool. And just for the simple reason that I could, in theory, practice complex rounds virtually anywhere now. And also, on top of that, I can receive detailed and comprehensive feedback on those very arguments. So, we at My Debate Coach, just in the future, are going to be working and collaborating very closely with Arguflow on the development of the app. So, that means that things like the feedback that you're receiving are going to get better and better as time progresses. I can even have the tool on top of all of this generate some main themes and clashes of the debate, which is, I think, an excellent feature. So if I ask it, uh, what are the main themes and areas of clash in this debate? And so once I ask it that, it'll go back through the entire conversation we've just had, and in this context, then provide me the main areas of clash that it believes the debate has had. And if you read what it's generating, it actually is bringing us pretty much the main ideas that this debate has had thus far. And obviously, if there were multiple other reasons, then this list would probably be different or longer, or perhaps different. It would have other things in there. But the point is that without ever having had to actually do the round myself, I can have a pretty comprehensive understanding of all of the main big ideas. I can also just have my arguments challenged under scrutiny, which is an exceptionally useful tool, especially for those of you that feel as though you haven't been able to practice enough in your schedule. So, with all that in mind, if any of you are looking to perhaps get your hands on this and try out the software for yourself, there is currently a free version that's available if you'd like to give it a shot. And if you do want to try it out, the website that you can find it at is arguflow.com. That's ARGUFLOW, arguflow.com. And so any updates that we have about features, anything new that we're going to add, you will be able to find all of that there, as well as the actual tool itself. So, with all that in mind, if you'd like to see any upcoming updates that we have, any new features, and there will be many features, go to arguflow.com today. So thank you, everybody. I will see you all next time.